friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie, yo 781. That in the neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. Today was one of those days when I was wondering what channel will I be reacting to with y'all today. But when I got home and I turned on YouTube, I seen that this channel had released a new video. And I was like, oh yeah, my question has been answered. And that channel that I'm talking about is Chilling Scares. Back to Chilling Scares, Bean Team. Hope y'all doing excelente out there today. And I'm glad that you came on back to the channel once again to F with the Bean. And the title of the video is Missing Persons Photos Found After They Went Missing. Now, this is just a crazy title, y'all, man. Just the fact that you finding the photos after the fact that now the people are missing is gonna be a spooky one. And I'm ready to get into it. But before we get into it, Bean Team, y'all know what y'all got to do. Whatever you may need, get what you need, please. We are back to Chilling Scares. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
This is the last known photo of 12-year-old Jared Negretti, a self-portrait he snapped on July 19, 1991 after he was officially declared missing earlier that day. Jared was a member of the Boy Scouts, and July 19 was meant to be a milestone. It was his first overnight backpacking trip to the summit of Mount San Gorgonio, the highest peak in Southern California. Jared, alongside 5 fellow Boy Scouts and an adult troop leader, started the hike early in the morning. While the hike started off just as planned, the 11,000-foot ascent eventually took its toll on Jared specifically. He started to fall behind at around 6 p.m., unable to keep pace with the rest of the group. Determined to stick to the schedule, the group leader decided to go ahead with the other 5 kids and leave Jared behind, a choice he would come to regret for the rest of his life.
But hey, if that ain't the most major violation of a freaking what they is Boy Scout trip in the mountains I ever heard. Like, dude, this is a little child, and you think, oh, okay, he can't hang with us, so we just gonna go on ahead and leave him behind. No, have you ever heard of No Child Left Behind? I think that's some school shit. I think that had something to do with school. I remember that slogan, No Child Left Behind. And listen, it applies to this right here too. You gonna leave this little boy by himself in the woods? I'm already getting amped up, Bean Team. Let's keep going.
Not long after, a different group of hikers saw Jared descending the mountain alone, and doing so in a dangerously unsafe way by shortcutting the switchbacks. Which, for those who don't know, it means he was ignoring the zigzagging trail designed to safely navigate steep terrain and was instead heading straight down the slope. The hikers had warned Jared about the dangers of straying from the designated path and also made sure to inform the scout leader when they had caught up with the troop further up the mountain. The leader, however, shrugged off their concern, stating that they'd catch up with Jared on their way back. Unfortunately, by the time they came back, Jared was nowhere to be seen. It didn't take long for the troop to realize the gravity of the situation. They quickly descended to the base camp and managed to call for help around midnight, sparking one of the largest search and rescue missions in the region's history. Over the following days, rescue teams scoured a massive 130 square mile stretch of the San Gorgonio wilderness, but there was no sign of Jared anywhere. It wasn't until day 3 when they found their first clue, a footprint matching the high-top sneakers he was wearing at the time of his disappearance. Further search of that area also uncovered more items that belonged to Jared, including the wrappers for beef jerky and candy, and most importantly, the disposable camera he had with him. Inside, the film held 12 photos, most of which were landscapes he captured throughout the trip. But the final image, taken after he had gone missing, was a chilling close-up of Jared's own eyes and nose, illuminated by the camera's flash. And while this photo proved that Jared was still alive hours after he went missing, it offered little to no clue about his whereabouts. The pitch-black background and low resolution obscured any background details that might have helped rescuers pinpoint where the photo was taken. Over the next 2 weeks, nearly 3,000 volunteers and professionals poured more than 45,000 combined hours into searching the vast San Bernardino National Forest. But with no solid leads to follow, the search dragged on without making any significant progress.
And I just gotta say, W volunteers, W rescue people, just W people who had a great heart to combine over 45,000 hours searching for him. And it's also so crazy too, y'all, because I honestly feel like he just got lost. He got lost in trying to get back out the freaking mountain or whatever, trying to go back down the mountain, but he didn't take the correct path. Instead of going on the path, the zigzag path, he just went straight down. In some kind of way, he ended up getting lost. But this goddamn teacher, man, the scout leader, dude, you are the worst scout leader I ever heard of in my life. Oh, you can't keep up, so we just gonna keep going, and then we'll come back and pick you up when we going back down. Like, what? No child left behind.
On August 4, after 16 days, the search for Jared was officially called off by the authorities, leaving the mystery of his disappearance unsolved to this day. So, what really happened to Jared? Well, there are several possibilities. The first of which is that he accidentally took the wrong trail and got lost while trying to catch up with the rest of the Boy Scouts. However, while getting lost is a common cause of disappearance in the wilderness, it doesn't quite add up in Jared's case. You see, this all took place in the middle of summer, so there was no risk of him succumbing to harsh elements like extreme cold. He also had plenty of drinkable water in the 2-quart canteen he had on him, not to mention the countless freshwater creeks and ponds dotted throughout the mountain. Put simply, he would have survived for at least a few days, and with thousands of rescuers scouring the area, it's likely someone would have found him. So, a more plausible theory is that he potentially slipped and fell off a sheer cliff. After all, he was shortcutting the switchbacks when the second group of hikers spotted him. It's possible he kept taking those dangerous shortcuts after they left, and one misstep on the steep terrain in the darkness led to a fatal fall. But this still begs the question, why didn't any of the rescuers come across his body despite the extensive search? Which brings us to the third possibility, he was dragged away by a wild animal. Mount San Gorgonio is home to both black bears and cougars. Some people also believe the glowing dot in the background of Jared's last photo is one of the eyes of a predator that was stalking him at the time. However, the search teams didn't find any clue of this being the case either. There was no blood, torn clothes, or drag marks anywhere in the area, which points to the most disturbing possibility that instead Jared was abducted by someone. If we accept this as true, it explains why there was no sign of Jared or his body anywhere on the mountain. Unfortunately, it's been over 33 years since Jared vanished, and investigators still haven't found anything that could guide them toward a proper conclusion. His disappearance remains just as much a mystery today as it was the day he went missing.
And sadly, y'all, I feel like his mystery will never be solved at this point. It done been over 33 freaking years, man. But I think the last theory is the one that we can go with. He had to been got abducted. Seriously, y'all, whether it was a human who did it or a freaking alien, you know what I'm saying? Something took him out of those woods, because those people, a lot of people spent a lot of hours searching that entire freaking area, and there was no clues other than what it was. I can't remember, but he left like a canteen behind. He left some stuff behind, but there was no body found nowhere. There was no blood found that would make you believe that he got attacked by animals. There was no body, like I said, found that would show that he had fell off a cliff. Like, dude, one of those, we have heard many stories, especially talking about Mr. Ball and the people in the forest getting out freaking abducted. And sadly but true, I think that's what happened to him. But the most sad part is we will never really know. Let's go to the next one.
On June 15, 1989, a woman in Port St. Joe, Florida spotted a Polaroid photo lying in the parking lot of a convenience store on her way out. Without thinking much of it, she picked it up and flipped it over, only to be met with a disturbing image she'd never forget. The photo showed a young girl and a much younger boy lying in the back of a white, windowless van with duct tape over their mouths and their hands seemingly tied behind their backs. The woman alerted the police almost immediately, especially since the white van in the image looked eerily similar to the one she saw in the same parking lot minutes earlier. She also provided a description of the driver, allowing investigators to create a sketch of the suspect. However, even after setting up a perimeter around the area, the police weren't able to find the van or its driver. What they didn't know at the time was that this photo would eventually connect to a crime that took place more than 1,500 miles away. The victim of this crime was a 19-year-old college student named Tara Lee Calico. On September 20, 1988, nearly 9 months before the Polaroid was discovered, Tara left her home at around 9:30 a.m. for her daily bike ride. Every day, she'd ride down New Mexico's Highway 47 until reaching the railroad tracks intersecting the road, turning around and taking the same route back home. But on this particular day, Tara had plans with her boyfriend at 12:30 p.m. and didn't want to be late. So she told her mother, Patty, to come pick her up if she wasn't back by noon. And that's exactly what happened. When noon came and went with no sign of Tara, Patty got in her car and began driving along Tara's usual route, hoping to find her somewhere along the way. However, despite going up and down the highway a couple of times, she couldn't find Tara anywhere. Patty rushed back home and called the police to report Tara missing. The authorities immediately put together a search party and began looking for her in the surrounding area. And it wasn't long before they found their first clue, a cassette tape that Tara was likely listening to on the side of the highway. They also found tire tracks matching her bike near this cassette. Unfortunately, Tara and her neon pink bike were nowhere to be seen. As the search radius became larger, the only other clue they found was a broken piece of her yellow cassette player, miles from where she was supposed to be. Patty believed her daughter had been abducted, and this piece was her way of leaving a trail. This theory was further supported by multiple witness accounts from people who reported seeing an old, worn-out pickup truck closely tailing Tara as she headed back home around 11:30 a.m. Witnesses also noted that Tara was wearing her headphones at the time and seemed unaware of the truck. This suspicion only became stronger when, 9 months after her disappearance, this Polaroid was discovered in Florida. The woman who found this didn't know about Tara's case at the time. But as the photo gained more attention, it eventually reached Patty, who became convinced that the girl in the picture was her missing daughter.
And I think it's her missing daughter too. That look, I'm not gonna say exactly, but it look a lot like Tara, Bean Team. And I can remember this photo. I don't know what channel we was watching. I probably already reacted to it on Reaction Beanie Yo 236. You know what I'm saying? It was either we seen this from the Lazy Man, maybe Mr. Ballin, or maybe Nick Crowley, either one of them, or maybe I just seen this somewhere else. But I remember this photo, y'all, and it's just so crazy how the fact that this photo was found 1,500 miles away from where she actually went missing. And then who is the little boy? We just focused on Tara, and righteously so, I can speak. We should be focused on Tara, but also who is the little boy? That's a crazy photo, man. That is a crazy photo because we know it's real. It's not a hoax. It's not a joke. That is a real photo.
Not only did this girl look like Tara, but Patty also noted that the book in the photo was from one of Tara's favorite authors. The connection between Tara and this photo deepened further when another New Mexico family came forward claiming they recognized the boy in the photo. They believed it was their son, 9-year-old Michael Henley, who'd gone missing in April of 1988 during a hunting trip with his father. However, that's when Tara's case took a turn. Because, as it turns out, there's a real possibility that the girl in the photo isn't Tara at all. For starters, in June of 1990, investigators found the remains of Michael about 7 miles from the campsite he was staying at. He wasn't abducted by anyone. Instead, he likely just wandered off, lost his way, and subsequently died of exposure to the elements. This led many to question whether the Polaroid had any real connection to Tara's specific disappearance at all. And investigations from different departments enhanced the confusion further. Some concluded that the girl in the photo was undoubtedly Tara, while others pointed out the many structural differences between their faces. But if she wasn't abducted by the owner of this white van, then what exactly happened to Tara? Surprisingly, we might actually get a conclusive answer to this question more than 37 years after her disappearance. On the 13th of June 2023, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office announced a massive update on the case, stating, "At this time, law enforcement believes there is sufficient evidence to submit this investigation to the District Attorney's Office for review of potential charges. Currently, the identities and specifics of the persons of interest are sealed by the court and will remain so until a court order otherwise." Put simply, after decades of investigating, the police have finally cracked the case and are just waiting for the DA's approval to release the information to the public. As for why it took so long, a widely believed theory is that Tara was accidentally hit by a group of teenagers while biking home. Fearing the consequences, they panicked, abducted her, and eventually killed her to cover up the accident. And according to some, one of those teenagers was the son of the local sheriff, leading to a deliberate and coordinated cover-up that kept the truth buried for decades. Now, whether this theory holds any weight is unknown. But if this does turn out to be the case, who the girl in the Polaroid picture actually is remains a mystery.
I don't know what to believe with that one being team. Like, seriously, man. I still, when I look at that photo, then look at a photo of Tara, I still think they the same person. But chilling scales bring up some good, things that may lead you to believe that they not the same two people. I don't know, y'all. All I wish is that unsolved mysteries didn't exist, but I know it's life and it is what it is, man. Maybe it was a cover-up. Maybe the sheriff department is involved in all this. And it's also so crazy of how long these cases been going on. Like, this one over 30 years old, man. Sometimes we just gotta accept the fact, being team, that we will never know the truth. And that goes for a lot of things in life. Let's go.
On June 8, 1988, an ATM in LA captured what were possibly the final moments of 22-year-old LA resident Matthew Chase. The day had started like any other. Matt spent most of it at work, then went out for dinner with his roommate and close friend Teresa. When the two returned home at around 11:45 p.m., Matt noticed the paycheck he received earlier that day sitting on the coffee table. He was running low on funds, and the bank would have taken about 24 hours to clear the paycheck. So instead of waiting till morning, Matt decided to go deposit it right away. The nearest ATM was just 2 blocks away from their apartment. But since it was getting quite late, Teresa told him to take her car just to be on the safe side. She also asked him to bring a bag of cat food from the store across the street. The whole trip should have taken no more than 15 minutes. But an hour went by and Matt still hadn't returned. Teresa figured he was just driving around town to get some fresh air, so she went to sleep. However, when she woke up in the morning, Matt was still not home. She quickly got up and contacted her brother Steve, who was also good friends with Matt. Together, they called the police and tried to file a missing person report. Unfortunately, since Matt had only been missing for less than 12 hours, the police decided to hold off on launching an investigation just yet. Unsatisfied with this response, Teresa and Steve decided to find clues themselves, and so Steve called the bank pretending to be Matt. According to the bank, Matt had unsuccessfully tried to withdraw money several times since, including one transaction of $280. This was quite odd for 2 main reasons. One, $280 was far above the maximum withdrawal limit for Matt's ATM card. More importantly, Matt's account didn't even have $100, let alone $280, which is why—
Yeah, being team, we all know that whoever was trying to get that money out of Matt's bank account was not Matt. Long story short, short story long, and whoever it was, more than likely is the killer of Matt, and then he took his credit cards and stuff. It seemed like the writing is on the wall.
He went out to deposit a paycheck in the first place. He should have known both of these things quite well. So the fact he tried to make these transactions anyway indicated that he was being forced to do so by someone else. Teresa and Steve called the police again with this newfound information, and this time authorities took the case more seriously. Though, unlike today, most ATMs at the time didn't have cameras. Luckily, one of the machines he tried to withdraw from did have a functioning camera, giving investigators a crucial lead, a grainy but discernible image of Matt at the ATM, with a mysterious man looming just behind him. As the investigation was going on, Matt's card was used again, a day and a half after his disappearance. By then, his paycheck had cleared, allowing whoever made this transaction to withdraw $400. The authorities took notice of this withdrawal and froze Matt's card. So the next time someone tried to use that card, it was confiscated by the ATM. Unfortunately, none of this helped investigators track down Matt or his kidnapper. There were 2 composite sketches made of the suspect from the low-res photo, but no one recognized the man based on these. They also tried dusting the confiscated cart for fingerprints, but it was completely clean. On June 27th, nearly 3 weeks after Matt's disappearance, the car he'd been driving was finally found. And it was surprisingly close to the ATM that captured this photo. The fact that no one had spotted it sooner suggested that it was likely dumped there later by his abductor.
Yeah.
And while it was wiped clean of any fingerprints, just like the card, police did find a blue bandana in the back with the letters ESPBSCLS written on it. From what I was able to find, ESPBS stood for East Side Playboys, a notorious gang in the area. Despite this connection, however, investigators weren't able to find any solid evidence that could help them track down the suspect. By this point, the chances of Matt making it out alive were looking increasingly slim. Tragically, his friends and family's worst fear came to light on September 17, 1988, when a group of people found his body floating in a ravine in Pasadena. He had a gunshot wound in his head, and according to the autopsy report, was killed and dumped in the ravine 3 months ago, likely a couple days after his abduction. But with no other leads, Matt's case went cold for the next 30 years. Then, in 2018, LAPD announced that they had the answer to Matt's disappearance. According to the report, Matt was killed by a 20-year-old gangster named David Mesa, who went by the name Bear. Apparently, David's girlfriend confirmed that the man in the ATM photo was indeed her boyfriend. As for David himself, police found out that he was killed in a gang-related shootout just 2 days after he supposedly killed Matt.
Wow.
Now, this raises more questions than it answers. Like, why would anyone kidnap and kill someone just for $400? Was David alone in all of this, or did he have any accomplices? And if David died days after committing the crime, who dumped Teresa's car near the original crime scene 3 weeks later? That said, this revelation was still enough to give Matt's friends and family the closure they needed after 3 decades.
Oh, Bean Team, I think we can believe that one. I think that's, it's enough evidence for that to be plausible what happened to him. And it's like, dude, it's so crazy how this man sat right here and was in the photo with Matt on the freaking ATM, but it was way back in the day where cameras just weren't clear enough. You know what I'm saying, Bean Team? I'm glad we living in the year 2025 right now, because if that same thing would have happened right now, it would have been a clear enough photo so we would have knew exactly who that was in that photo, who was making Matt go to the ATM trying to withdraw money. I was wrong. I was thinking like the dude had just got all his information and was doing it himself, but no, he was making Matt do it. And it, in a way, it still wasn't for Matt. Matt wasn't trying to get the money out so he can spend it. He was trying to get the money out so he can stay alive and give it to this crazy you know what. And maybe that was him, Bean Team. At the end of the day, I gotta say again, I don't know. But that's one of those theories or conclusions or mysteries being solved that I think I can get with. Rest in peace to Matt, though, man. Let's go.
In March of 1998, 23-year-old Amy Lynn Bradley went on a cruise with her brother and 2 parents. However, what began as a joyful family vacation descended into a disturbing nightmare just 3 days later, one the Bradley family hasn't recovered from to this day. On the night of March 23rd, Amy and her family dined out in one of the ship's restaurants. And according to her family, Amy was getting a lot of attention from other passengers, as well as the staff, including the band playing in the restaurant. Some of the waiters even proposed taking Amy to a bar on the mainland before the ship sailed, but she declined. After the dinner, Amy and her brother Brad went to the ship's nightclub for a few hours and returned to their room at around 3:30 a.m. They sat around and chatted on the balcony for a few hours before Brad went to bed, leaving Amy on the cabin's private balcony. Around 5:30 in the morning, their father Ron checked on the kids and saw Amy peacefully sleeping on a lounge chair outside on the balcony. But when he returned 30 minutes later, Amy was gone. Thinking that she likely went to the main deck, Ron went looking for her. However, even after hours of searching, he couldn't find Amy anywhere. All of her belongings were still in the room, including her shoes. So when Ron informed the ship's crew, they floated the idea that Amy could have fallen overboard. The cruise had also docked at Curacao that morning, resulting in over 3,000 passengers disembarking the ship. If she was among the departing passengers, her parents had no way of spotting her in the crowd. So they focused their efforts on the ship itself and started scouring every inch of it to find Amy, to no avail. But then something incredibly strange happened. As Brad was looking for his sister, he was approached by the nightclub's bassist, Alistair Douglas, offering his condolences for Amy's disappearance. He was dancing with Amy the night before, but he shouldn't have had any way of knowing about her going missing. This made Alistair the lead suspect, but after further investigation and a successful polygraph test, he was cleared of any suspicion. The Bradley family, along with the FBI, then began searching for Amy on the island of Curacao, where they received their first promising lead. A local cab driver claimed to have spoken with a woman who matched Amy's description to a T. Unfortunately, the tip didn't lead to any major breakthroughs. So, with no other option, the Bradley family was forced to return home to the US. Then, in August 1998, a Canadian tourist named David Carmichael saw someone he believed was Amy on Curacao Island.
We were over in a small area where we wash off the equipment in fresh water, and I looked down the beach and I saw a girl walking down the beach with being flanked by two people. The minute she heard I spoke English, she picked up her pace and was putting distance between her and the two people that were flanking her. I was 2 feet away from her. 2 feet. That's how close I was. I don't even have to think about it. It's 100%. It's not 99, it's 100. It's 100%. It was her. It was.
David also—
Man, you can't say nothing that's 100%, man. I understand that you very confident that you think that you seen Amy, but I don't know, Bing Team. This one of those ones where how many times have I said in this video, I don't freaking know. This most definitely one of those ones, man. Because for all we know, whoever killed her or whatever to her, long story short, story long, that lady could have been, and I don't think she just jumped off into the ocean herself, but somebody could have pushed off into that ocean, and when they did that left up with no clues ever of what really happened to her. And now you could have people just coming up with crazy conspiracies and claiming they seeing her, when the truth is she went overboard and been in the water ever since then. Just saying. I don't know though. I don't know.
also claimed that one of the men following her fit the description of Alistair. Later investigation also revealed that an American naval officer was visiting an adult establishment on the island in 1999. There he met someone who claimed her name was Amy Bradley. Unfortunately, the officer never reported the incident, likely to avoid repercussions for visiting such an establishment while on duty. By the time this information surfaced, the place had already burned to the ground, and with it any records of the people who might have worked there. However, the most important clue about Amy came in 2005, when someone found pictures of an older Amy on the internet. These pictures, along with her earlier sightings, led many to believe that Amy was kidnapped and trafficked, possibly by Alistair, with some even suspecting a coordinated effort involving multiple crew members. That said, nothing ever came of this theory, and Amy was declared legally dead on March 24, 2010, 12 years after her disappearance. Now, it's still possible that Amy simply fell overboard and drowned, and that the woman seen on Curacao and the one in the photos are nothing more than unfortunate lookalikes. But with so many scattered clues pointing toward a far darker possibility, it's hard to write them off as a simple case of mistaken identity.
Yeah, it's hard to write it off as mistaken identity. I don't know what to write this ish off as, being team, because those last two photos we seen of Amy, you know what I'm saying? That look like the same person, just like the one before that. When I was like, man, that dude look like I can't remember her name now, but y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm like, man, that dude look like her. The girl who ended up in a photo with her mouth taped up with another little boy, and I think they had their hands behind their back. Like, dude, it's something. And it almost feel like sometimes like your mind just your mind be subconsciously convincing you that you're seeing something that you maybe not really seeing. I don't know, Bing Team. I know that's probably my millionth time saying it in this video, but I promise you, IDK, man, in a lot of these stories, ID freaking K. And it most definitely goes for that one. The one that I can say that I think I can be confident of what happened is to Matt. You know what I'm saying? I think Matt did get a duck because of, and the only reason I can say this is because of that little grainy ass fucking ATM footage that they gave us, or that we got. that I think he was adopted, and you know, you add on to that with the whole credit card thing, and we know Matt knew he ain't had his money in the bank account, but he still was trying to get it out because the freaking killer wanted him to get it out. He got it out. What it was, a couple of days later or a couple of months later, his body was found, and it's just like everything pretty much makes sense for that one. It's also crazy that more than likely the person who did kill him died a couple of days later, man. What was the one before that, Bean Team? What was the one before that? Okay, I already spoke about that one. The girl who was in the photo, bound up, taped up over her mouth and stuff. And I remember that image from some channel sometime. It probably been 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago since I seen or heard about that story. But I remember that. And that's another one of those ones of I don't know. I don't even know if that's exactly the same girl or not. But man, they look very freaking similar. I will say that. And the first one was with the little boy in the woods, the freaking scout leader. Man, something need to be done with him, man. I'm sorry. I know he probably didn't do anything illegal, technically, by leaving this little child by itself where you can't put him in jail. But no child left behind, bro. These children, these parents, they trust in you to take care of their children on these hiking trips. And you just decide, oh, we just gonna come back and get you on our way back down since you can't keep up. Then when you come back down, he is nowhere to be found. You get what I'm saying? He a little child, man. But it's so weird with this one, Being Team, because I'm not even sure that I don't think that he was that his body remained in that forest. I think he really got abducted or something, because there was no evidence ever till this day of his body in that forest, period. And there was plenty of volunteers and rescue team and rescue efforts and hours and all the acres and miles that they covered or whatever. And there is no evidence of his body nowhere in that freaking forest. That makes me believe he probably got kidnapped. But we will never know, Bean Team. We will never really freaking know. And I digress. I'm gonna go and let y'all go now. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before you leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.
If you're feeling lonely today, come along and throw your cares away. We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!